Okay, this is Toby from Heavyweight MMA. This morning with the Crippler, the coach, the referee, the spritzer, a man of many talents and a man that wears many hats, Mr. Chris Leben, Chris the Crippler Leben. Thanks for coming on the show, man. It's good to see you.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me. What a creative intro you had there. Good job.
Man, I just was talking to you a second ago and you mentioned about the COVID. To be honest, like a lot of us, I'd imagine I haven't had much contact with people that have had COVID. A lot of people say they haven't met anyone that has COVID, especially in kind of the first world countries. So, how is it, man? How does it feel for you?
I'm gonna be careful what I say, because my symptoms have been mild, and I know that that's not the case for everybody. But yeah, mellow for me, and my family has it as well. It's been, excuse me, it's been mellow for them as well. Definitely the hardest part is quarantine.
Yeah.
to be honest with you, a lot of Uber Eats, a lot of stuck at home, but is what it is, man. I can't believe it took me this long to get it here in Southern California. I didn't stop doing jujitsu for a day, been training guys the whole time. And, finally got it. I'm pretty sure I got it in Las Vegas at the Conor McGregor fight.
Yep. Are you the type of guy that needs to do stuff every day, likes to stay active every day, and then you're stuck inside, so it's a bit of a difficult thing to do?
Yeah, 100%. I wake up and, I'm a goer. I'm going all day, usually pretty much all night too, man, until it's time to pass out. There's that saying, idle hands are the devil's workshop. And, that used to be very true for me. And so now one of the things I do is I just stay busy. I stay busy all the time. I fill my days. It makes me feel productive, and by the time the day is done, I'm tired and ready to go to sleep.
So what are you doing now that you're stuck in isolation? What's your day? Doing podcasts? I've seen you've done a couple, right?
Well, I did a few, but more than anything, man, I just watching YouTube videos, boxing videos, technique videos. I'm the king of the thumbs down, by the way.
Yeah.
I love watching technique videos to see how somebody's teaching something, and then I decide that they're teaching it wrong.
Yeah.
Right now, my favorite are these self-defense ones. They drive me absolutely nuts. I mean, there's some of these people I want to scream and be like, dude, you're going to get somebody hurt, I was watching one just now with a professional boxer, and I like his technique videos. I won't use his name, but he's telling it, how to stop any street fight in seconds. Punch the guy in the solar plexus. He's like, it doesn't matter if it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It doesn't, I'm like, yeah, it does. And go ahead, dude, punch me in the solar plex. I don't think that's going to stop me. You know what I mean? You're gonna piss somebody off if you do that. Yeah,
exactly. How many misdirected shots have you got in your career and training every little part of your body, and it doesn't stop you, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a time and a place for a solar plex punch. It sets some stuff up, gets them to drop their hand, but it's not the kill switch. The solar plex is not the, you know what I mean? Like, that's the chin, dude. It always has been, always will be. Don't start changing it now. Yeah. Anyways, that's just my rant from what I was just watching. But yeah.
Actually, talking about the solar plexus, when I first sort of lesson in Thai boxing, a guy asked me to come up to do some technique, and he said, throw a right hand. I had no idea what a right hand, like a right straight. I kind of threw a loopy punch, and it kind of put him off for a second. He goes, no, if they throw that, you do this. And he goes, oh, I'm just like knees me in the solar plexus, like full-fledged knee from a coach to someone that's a beginner, as a young kid. And that actually put me out for a while because it flexed the sternum and just fucking hurt like a broke rib for a long time. But anyway.
Yeah. I've actually broke mine twice, and that's not pleasant. That sucks. Right when you think it's healing, you twist a certain way and it pops again. It's kind of a nightmare.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? The ribs, like when a normal person day to day doesn't realize how much pressure they got in their ribs. It's when you hurt it that you realize, right? Getting out of bed, sneezing, these things are fucking painful.
Yeah. Laughing, bro, all of it. Yeah, ribs are the worst. Yeah, especially if you break them, it's not too bad. But when you separate that cartilage, I swear that takes even longer to heal. Takes
It just
forever.
pulls out too, right? Like the rib pulls out of its
just
out of the
pops
socket.
out. Yeah, and it never all mine are out down. They never kind of sit back in either. So then you got this lump there forever.
That's it. So what sort of injuries have you had over your career out of interest?
All of them.
just rack them up. Hundreds of them, right?
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of lacerations. I'm a bleeder. So I mean, I've been cut a lot of broken hands. I tend to break my hands a lot, break my knuckles. Major injuries, not so bad. My orbital and my cheekbone and stuff has been broke several times. Other than that, broken arms, some ribs, had to have carpal tunnel on both arms. I got a jacked up neck, missing a tendon in my hip, one bad knee, shoulders fucked up. But, most of it, I'm pretty lucky in the way I haven't had to have a lot of surgeries. The only surgeries I've had was the carpal tunnel on both hands. I got a couple they want to do, but I seem to be able to get by. So I'm kind of in the camp of, what, if I keep going, I'm going to keep going. You know what I mean? I don't want to sideline myself for 6 months or a year getting a surgery. I'd rather just, learn to adapt, and that seemed to have worked pretty well for me.
Yeah. And now you're not planning to compete. Is it something that you're focusing on in, like, just making sure that your body's all right, like stretching and all that sort of thing, and diet and all that, just maintaining the body as you sort of get older in life?
Yeah, stretching. That's a good idea.
In theory.
In theory, it's great. It's just so time consuming,
Yeah, true.
I did yoga for a while, felt really good. But again, it's like how many, when you're coaching and reffing, you got a kid and a family, I want to get in and try to hit my jiu-jitsu at least 3 days a week. I like to lift weights and do some striking too. It's just time consuming, and so for, all the body maintenance stuff, it really is a balance as you get older.
Yeah.
Diet is definitely something that I adhere to. Let me set this up so I don't have to hold it the whole time. I am pretty strict on my diet most of the time. I eat pretty well. And that's just because I'm just naturally a fat person, serious, my thyroid is pretty messed up from the years of cutting weight, and along with just my genetic disposition, I look at food and I get fat. So, my answer is, to keep it relatively clean, most of the time with diet, and then, I try to do some stretching, a little bit, probably definitely could do some more, but yeah, man, it was my birthday yesterday. I turned 41. So I'm starting to get up to that age now where, you gotta do these things, especially in my case, I mean, I'm a martial artist, and, regardless of if I'm competing or not, I'm in the gym and I'm training. I'm learning. That's what I love. I don't necessarily love fighting, but I love learning and developing my skills, trying to get better, helping other people get better. And if your body don't work, you can't do that.
Yeah, man. And like you said, I think there's only so many hours in a day, right? So it'd be great to be doing yoga every day and stretching, but then you also want to be doing that normal thing, whatever you do, sparring, hitting pads, wrestling. You want to be doing that because that's what your interest is, right? So it makes it difficult to balance everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. That's why, jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's kind of like yoga, right? We're trying to bend shit the wrong way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it does help. It would definitely be helping mobility and everything. And you just by doing the things you're doing, you're doing better than 99% of the population at 40 plus years old, I'd imagine, you know? So
Well,
it's
thank
not
you,
a bad
man.
thing.
Thank
Yeah. I've
you.
been listening to a bit of that Steve Maxwell. Do you know this guy?
I know the name.
Yeah. He's one of the first American BJJ black belts, and he was a D1 wrestler, etc. But he knows so much about the body, and you know, he talks a lot about mobility and that sort of thing as you get older and whatever. I'm going to have a chat with him in a couple of days, so kind of looking forward to that. But I'm sure he'll be telling me the things I need to do that I'm not doing as well.
Yeah, I'll probably would be good for me to listen in on that one.
Yeah, man, he's a good guy too. Very, very smart. And he's older in age, so as he gets there, you know, he's got that experience. He's been training and teaching people his whole life. So, you know, you can't, that's like gold, you know, guys that have been training since they're young until he's probably close to 70 years old, I'd imagine by now. Yeah, amazing.
Okay.
Man, so I'm just looking at a few of your fights, and you've got hundreds of podcasts. It makes it difficult to get things to ask you, to be honest, because everything's been answered already in so many things. I mean, I'm sure you're just going over this. I've seen you going over the same shit over and over again, so it makes it difficult to come up with questions. I'm going to ask you a few things, but it's probably things you've been asked before. I'm sorry. You said when you were young, you kind of kicked off in wrestling because you felt a bit bullied and that. You mentioned one of the jocks giving you some shit. What did wrestling give you then as a youngster when you started doing it?
Well, if it wasn't for wrestling, I never would have graduated high school. You know, I'll start with that.
Yeah.
For me, never have kind of growing up on the wrong side of the tracks, not really playing any team sports, not really doing anything constructive before that. You know, I had done some boxing in middle school, kind of on my own, but you know, the camaraderie of the wrestling team, that family, that unity aspect of it, you know, being part of a team. You know, in high school, our wrestling team was really close. You know, we hung out with each other. We did really well. You know, we were every year we were our district champions, and we pushed each other, and you know, it was the bonding aspect of the team. You know, I loved going to practice, and I loved, you know, training with the other guys. And turns out, you know, that's something that stuck with me my whole life. I mean, that's what I love about martial arts is going to the gym. You know, I love training. I love getting better. I love helping other people get better. I love seeing familiar faces, you know, and catching up with the guys. It's kind of like a men's club. You know, we got obviously girls there too, but you know what I'm saying. It's a social club, you know. You know, everybody goes in, you train, you do something healthy, you hang out, you catch up. You know, it was definitely all that for me, definitely.
Yeah, it is definitely you know, you develop really, really strong friendships in the gym. Hey, and something that I don't know, maybe you could help me explain. I haven't been a wrestler. I'm from Australia. We don't have really strong wrestling, but BJJ and stand up fighting, etc. But for me, the BJJ, something about BJJ just really builds a strong camaraderie. You know, every gym I've been to for BJJ, everyone's just so tight, and you develop really close friendships. I don't know what it is about that. Is it because we're practicing to kind of kill each other every day, and you basically play fighting to the death every day? Yeah.
I don't think you know somebody until they've choked you. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've literally you put your life in each other's hands. You know,
Yeah.
that's something that you're not just going to give a stranger off the street. Hey, here, take my neck, you know, but here we're practicing to kill each other. And the whole time we're practicing to kill each other, there's kind of that, you know, that unsaid rule, you know, that is, you know, as soon as I tap, I trust in you that you're going to recoil from that submission, you know, pull away so that we can both get better and grow. And that's sort of, I think, physical trust, that the trust that spawns from that physicalness. I think it's hard to be duplicated with much of anything else.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, you could do all the trust building workshops you want, but until you're fighting somebody nearly to the death, and they let go at that time, it does, man. And then also you've got, these relationships are forged with a level of adrenaline too. There's adrenaline, there's anxiety when we're going hard, and then afterward we're talking. We've got all those endorphins in our body, and I think all that lends to developing lasting friendships.
And it's very raw, right? Like, for me, I go around my day and you're dealing with people that are full of shit and everything, and they talk, but it's a real thing. It's a physical thing, and you can't lie or bullshit on the mat, can you? Because you're just exposed. It's either you win or I win kind of thing, and you're the better man, I'm the better man, or you're the lesser man on that day. It's very raw exchange, isn't it?
It really is. As jiu-jitsu can be quite a humbling experience, and I think that also lends to the quality of people that you meet through jiu-jitsu and other martial arts. I mean, the bottom line is, listen, dude, you got to be the nail before you're the hammer, so it's been my experience that a lot of these tough guys, people with bad attitudes and chips on their shoulders, when they walk into a gym, they can't handle being the nail. They can't handle it. It's too much for them, and they don't last long. It takes a certain, you're either gonna be humble or you're gonna get humble. If you're going to last, in a dojo, that's the case. And I think that again lends to the quality of the martial arts, jiu-jitsu, MMA practitioner, and why it is that probably one of the most common things that people say about me is, man, I really thought, you were going to be an asshole. You're such a nice guy. Well, guess what? 99% of us are. I think far more people involved in martial arts are good, nice, genuine people compared to the general population. And, I'm pretty certain in some way it falls back on that, on those things that we overcome in the gym.
Yeah, I think it's definitely also an outlet, because, like, say someone like you in the gym every other day, you walk out of the gym and you don't have the energy or that negative energy left because you've let it all go. Yeah, and you're not going to walk out into the general public and be a prick because it's already, you've let go of all that negative energy, right? You're pretty positive by that stage. Yeah, that's what I feel anyway.
I mean, my old lady tells me all the time, she's like, get the fuck out of here, go to the gym, go train. You need to go train. You need to get, if I don't train for a couple of days, for me, it's therapy, there's nothing more therapeutic than punching somebody, it really helps, or getting punched, dodging punches. I mean, when I'm dodging punches, I'm not worrying about the bills I got to pay. I'm not worrying about the shit I got to get done, and all my things that weigh on me through life. I get a break from that, so just that break we get, with the, because you're overtaken by the adrenaline and you're lost in the situation of defending the choke or dodging the punches, I think psychologically it's a huge benefit, and something that we saw, with when COVID. Sorry, my little guy's going crazy in the back.
No worries, I can hear.
We're gonna go get dirt.
Okay, all right, have fun.
Did she say gonna go get dirt?
They're gonna go get dirt. Yeah. He's 3 years old. He likes dirt.
He's 3 years old, did you say?
What's that?
How old is he?
He's 3. Say hi, Liam.
Hello. How are you?
You don't like dirt? You like sand, huh? No? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple little guys too, slightly older, but yeah, they're quite fun, man. Simple things, right?
Super duper fun. Super duper fun. Yeah, he's great. He's full speed all the time.
That's it, man. Hey,
exhausting, but great.
That's it, man. Yeah, they definitely keep you active, man. If you're from what I can hear, you're pretty you like to keep yourself busy. They'll definitely help you do that, right?
Oh, he does. That's for sure.
They like attention.
Sure.
Yeah. Back to the gym stuff. I always think from the first time I walked into a gym and saw guys smashing pads, it's like I really love that, and I think that's part of it for me as well. Is that energy output? You know, you smash the energy from your body into the pads, and then that really takes a lot out of you. And it really, like you said, you can't think of anything else when you got to work at a really high rate, whether it's sparring, rolling, hitting pads. You're not thinking about other shit or any other problems, right? It's a nice escape. And I always tell people, because I work a normal job, normal 9-to-5 job, always telling people, you know, if you want, come and hit some pads, you'll love it, because they're the people that are really like caught up in their job and stressed out. You know, if they had that time, had that release, they'll benefit from it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I was watching a few of your fights and highlights and that just while I was waiting, and I already seen them before, but have a look again. Watching you beat Jorge Rivera, Aaron Simpson, and then your Wanderlei fight, man, that was a sick fight. That was amazing. How was it to fight Wanderlei? Because I don't know if you're the same as me, but for me, he was one of the legends. I always used to watch him fighting in Japan, etc. And I was a big fan. And then, you know, watching you face him and take him out, man, must have been a good feeling.
Yeah, you know, Wanderlei was always a hero of mine, and you know, that's a fight that I asked for repeatedly. Dana was like, "No, you're not fighting Wanderlei." You know, but when I first started, I used to watch all the old Prides, and
yeah, me too.
you know, and obviously, you know, watching Wanderlei, you know, those couple times I thought he killed Sakuraba, you know, and
crazy, right?
like, you know, so I wanted to fight him solely because he was my hero. You know, I really didn't think I was going to win. And I'll tell you what, you know, one thing I say, you know, there's nothing more motivating than fear, you know,
yeah.
And there's a lot of guys probably more dangerous than Wanderlei, but I think very few that are scarier than him.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
his hands like that, the rolling hands there, like he's going to kill someone.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you fight a Damian Maya or something, you're like, big deal. You know what I mean? I'm not intimidated. He probably better chance of beating me, you know, but
yeah,
you fight a Wanderlei, you're like, yeah, I might win or he could kill me. You know, like, I don't know. You know, he's a very imposing guy, very scary. And when he wins in devastating fashion.
Exactly.
You know, to say the least. So yeah, you know, I mean, definitely a highlight of my career, you know. The fight surprisingly worked out almost exactly like me and my coach Burton Richardson had game planned for. You know, one of the only fights that the game plan actually worked out almost exactly. The fight worked out exactly the way we planned it. So
you walk in and smash him, he walks in and smashes you, and the strongest survives. Was that the game plan?
Well, you know, Wanderlei's been doing the same thing for a long time. He throws winging
punches, right?
Yeah, it's that 4-punch burst, you know.
Yeah.
And so the idea was, you know, inside kick, something to set him off, you know, something to set him off, cover the first two, block wide, collar tie. Yeah. You know, that was exactly what we drilled. We drilled it 10,000 times. You know, obviously I like that collar tie, uppercut, you know.
I've seen that. Something get transferred over to the boxing too, right? The collar tie, uppercuts, boom, boom, boom. Beautiful.
Yeah. Hey man, if it ain't broke, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's an oldie but a goodie. I mean, I picked that up from my coach, Randy Couture, you know, the Dirty Boxing. You know, he won a lot of fights with that, you know, grab their head and fucking uppercut them. Yeah. You know, like, look, you know, what we do isn't rocket science. You know, I think kids nowadays, they try to get so, they want their shit to look so smooth and cool. Well, look, man, fighting doesn't necessarily have to look smooth, and it doesn't have to be cool either. Matter of fact, sometimes it's fucking ugly. It's a fight. Make it ugly, you know? Ugly wins, you know, simple wins. Simple, effective, something you can remember, you know, in that extreme high adrenaline moment, you know, gross movements, I'm a fan of that kind of stuff. The very simple, easy to do, highly effective.
Yeah. Actually, funny you just mentioned about Randy, because he's a friend of one of my old coaches and gym owner back in Sydney, Australia, and he's a MMA fighter, fought in Japan a lot, and they were friends. And Larry actually taught moving in for a collar tie and uppercuts and that, and I'm suspecting that it might have come through Randy, to be honest. So it's funny that I've trained something that may have come through similar sort of circles as you, even though we're in a different country. Kind of interesting.
Probably, yeah.
Man, so when you fight guys, like you fought Wanderlei, etc., you also mentioned that you don't necessarily love fighting so much. How did you deal with the psychology of it? How do you get around the fear and that?
It's not that I don't love fighting. I definitely love, there's a lot of things about fighting I love.
Yeah.
But anybody that says they enjoy the actual day of the fight or the moments in the fight, I think they're lying. I think that, as fighters and athletes, and a big part that most of us love about the sport is facing those fears and overcoming those hard challenges. It's really, it's not whether or not you're scared when you fight, because we're all scared. It's what you do in the face of that fear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I wish more guys would admit that they are scared,
Yep.
because that's the truth. That's the truth. It's not just fear of injury or being hurt or the other guy hitting you. It's for me, the bigger fear is letting down my coaches, my training partners, everybody that's came to watch me fight, my entire camp. You've got all the, your future, your fucking kids' Cheerios, everything is riding on this moment,
Yep.
And, when you fight for a living and you might get paid double to win and then get a bonus on top of that, or you end up going home with a quarter what you thought you were going to have. It can make it hard to balance your checkbook. There's a lot of stresses and a lot of anxieties that come to fruition at that 15 minutes of the actual fight. A lot of that stuff, that you have to block out, and for me, it's not hard to block it out during the fight. It's really the day of the fight. Hurry up and wait, sit around, try not to think about, God, what happens if I live? You know what I mean? So, I do love fighting. Obviously I wouldn't have done it for so long. I wouldn't have took time off and came back to it. I love testing myself. I love, again, the gym, the camaraderie. And I also love the training camp. I love preparing. Yep. I love the discipline of the diet and the training and the torturing yourself of the training regimen. And you know what else I love, man? I love getting my hand fucking raised at the end, and going home. For me, the best moment is, and this is probably weird, but the best moment for me is when I'm back up in my hotel room and I'm taking a shower. That's when it always settles in. It's like, you fucking did it, 8 weeks, 12-week camp. I haven't had a cookie or a Muppet. You know what I mean? I haven't seen my chick. I haven't talked to my family. I've shut now my phone's ringing off the hook. I won. I did it. I can let my guard down. And it's just that overwhelming moment of gratitude and just accomplishment.
I think that's the main thing, man. Like what you mentioned is almost exactly what Adesanya said as well, that it's the shower back in the room where he gets his head together and goes over what he's done. And of course, it's that massive accomplishment, man. You've just, worked as hard as any man for, like you said, 8-12 weeks, and then you've accomplished the goal. It's like a general person in normal life doing a degree or something. They work their ass off. They get the piece of paper. They feel stoked inside. Only yours is a little bit more fucking dangerous and probably compressed into a shorter time frame. It's a massive accomplishment.
Well, yeah. There you go. That's interesting. He said a similar thing, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Just again, recently I had a chat with Matt Lindland, and before that I had a chat with Pat Healy online. These guys talk a bit about Team Quest, obviously, and it sounds like back then was a pretty tough gym, man. A lot of hard head wrestlers in there, etc. I was listening to you pump Matt Lindland into YouTube, and I'm trying to like look at fucking facts about him, and all these stories pop up about him just going sick and taking people out in the gym, etc. But what was it training in that sort of time, man? Any funny stories? Was it pretty tough in that gym? Lots of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, man, I remember him beating the shit out of fucking Scott Hands of Steel Smith. Did you
That's the one, I think.
Tell you that story?
Yeah.
I forget where I was. Then the next day I saw him at the airport. He was out of there, dude. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was his own fault. I was training right next to him. He'd go real hard with Lindland for like 20 seconds. They'd be like, okay, break. Matt be like, wait, the round's not over. And then he'd go hard for 20 seconds, and then he'd take a break and fucking I think Matt just kind of straight blast ran him across the room into the corner, stomped on his head a couple times.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, back then we were a bunch of fucking wrestlers. You had Chael, Lindland, Randy, me, Ed Herman, Ryan Schultz, a bunch of other, guys that, tough wrestlers, and anybody that's wrestled knows you run a wrestling practice at 100%. That's just how you run a wrestling practice.
Yeah.
You don't run a fucking boxing practice or a kickboxing practice or an MMA practice at 100%.
Yeah.
You can't. But nobody told us that, so we throw on those MMA gloves and go hard. Guys should be getting I remember, I think Nate Corey knocked me out a couple times, I mean, it was what it was, and made you tough. I'll tell you that. I don't know about how skilled it made you, but it made you tough.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in hindsight, when I look around, everybody that was, part of that original Team Quest did really well, so it for the era that it was, it worked. Our system worked. Probably took some years off of some of our lives, but as far as competition goes, we did well.
Yeah. And then so obviously I think I've heard you mention that MMA's evolved, etc. What sort of the main learnings you think from the way you guys trained back then to the way you potentially train your guys now? What are the big sort of changes? What are the big differences in the way you've trained people?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that, jiu-jitsu's evolved, the wrestling game has changed. Striking, MMA has its own striking now, where before it was you trained with a boxing coach, or you went to Muay Thai or kickboxing, and then you tried to implement that in your MMA, and MMA has really its own breed of striking nowadays, and mixing, the combinations, the way they're mixing the wrestling with the striking, a lot of that hybrid stuff of the different martial arts overlapping didn't exist. I mean, for years we trained, whatever you do, don't get fucking smashed up against the cage. If that guy takes you down, steer yourself away from the cage. And I mean, nowadays and the last decade, that the whole thing has been, hey, get your ass to the cage. If that guy takes you down, use it to stand up.
Yep.
But originally everybody thought it was a death sentence to get taken down next to a cage.
Yep.
So there's obviously, a lot of people, a lot of blood and sweat and time and energy and thought has been put into, the actual techniques for actual MMA, I think. And, and then also, how to train, how to train a guy, how to break up the week and cover jujitsu and, with MMA gloves, cover your kickboxing and your wrestling, camps have really, figured out how to get a guy developed in all those areas.
And then all the things you mentioned before about diet, and then I know they've done all these things, recovery and that as well. Do you think that stuff has much of an effect? Is it obviously it may has an effect, but is it like a 5% effect? Is it a 10% effect? Is it just a little icing on the cake or what?
You know, diet, recovery, strength and conditioning. I mean, my strength and conditioning, you know, all the way up until I was in the UFC was just train real hard. You know what I mean? That was it. I didn't lift any weights. I just trained hard. And if I had more energy, I'd do another class or something, you know, that was it, you know, and that worked. I think the strength and conditioning thing goes full circle. I mean, honestly, I think I got to tell some people, listen, man, you're not going to fucking lift your way to a world title. You know what I mean? You want to be the best, you need to get out there on the mat. You know, I think some guys now think that, you know, all their hard pushes should be in strength and conditioning and, you know, yeah, absolutely. Some of them definitely, as you get closer to the fight, you don't want to get injured. So, you know, you want to go hard with your cardio, go hard on the treadmill, go hard somewhere where you're not going to get injured. You know, but, you know, and then also back then, you know, Randy was really pretty cutting edge on the strength and conditioning. He was always working plyometrics and doing all that stuff. So I kind of got an opportunity to see it early on.
Yeah.
But now, you know, some of these strength and conditioning coaches, they got an algorithm and a printout for everything. And it's like, dude, listen, man, just make me like, that's all I need you to do. You know what I mean?
Keep
Make
it simple.
Real tired. Make me pick up some heavy shit, you know?
Yeah. Actually, that same gym I'm talking about, they had a couture circuit they used to do, just like a circuit pumping weights now, like lighter weights, repetition, etc. from him. A few of the famous trainers these days, I hear them kind of reverting back to that. People saying that you shouldn't be wasting your time doing like the strength and conditioning with weights, etc., that you can do, you know, fight specific stuff that's going to be building your skill set as well as getting the cardio rather than wasting time just doing your cardio, etc., strength work on the side. So in a way, I guess that's correct that, you know, if you're just working hard in your given sport, then that's the ideal, you know, I think anyway.
Yeah. Train your ass off, man. And listen, if you're overweight, well, guess what? Fucking run some more, you know, jump more rope, you know, you got to jump rope. You got to hit bag. You got to fucking do your road work. I mean, in my opinion, I'm a little old school, you know, that's what I do. I jump rope, I fucking run, I swim, you know, I'll do weights and, you know, injury prevention type stuff a little bit further out. But as I get closer to the fight, I take a lot of the weights and the heavy lifting and stuff out and do more plyometric based and just straight cardio based exercise as my weight comes down and I get closer and closer to the fight. Yeah.
And so you've been in the game a long time, man. You're obviously a bit of a mentor to people now. You've matured a lot and everything. What are your key? It's a bit of a big question, but what are some of your key learnings or key things you'd pass on to people? It's kind of one of the things I kind of made this channel is just to get some nuggets of knowledge from people that have had a strong life, a big career in fighting arts, etc. Because I think you guys have got a lot to offer.
Like what not to do, I can tell you.
Yeah, that sort of thing's good, man.
I can cover all the bases on that one.
Go then, man. Let me know. What are the things not to do in life then?
You know, I mean, I think from you know, in hindsight, you know, if I was talking to a young athlete, I think a couple of the biggest things that I would really want them to kind of hone in on would probably be, you know, be careful who you surround yourself with, especially as you work your way up the ranks and you get more notoriety and you get more popularity and you get more followers on social media. You know, the girls and the guys and everything else that's going to come around, a lot of those are going to be fair weather friends. They're not the people that were with you at the beginning. You know, they're people that are with you for the ride. And don't surround yourself with people that don't have anything to offer. You know, it may sound selfish, but listen, you got to be a little bit selfish sometimes. Surround yourself with people that you can get something from, whether they're a role model, whether they're inspirational, whether they're a great coach, whether they're a friend that has your back. They gotta offer something, in my opinion. I think that's a big mistake that I made. Coming up, was I thought everybody was my best friend, and and then, if they're 20 years old, man, that girl, she doesn't really love you, dude. I hate to break it to you, but if you want to be the best, man, stay in the gym, and surround Randy used to love that saying, as iron sharpen iron, so one man another. You're only as good as your training partners. Wherever you're at, you don't want to be the best guy in your gym. If you got to move, if you got to, whatever you got to do to make your training work out, and sometimes that means putting all your eggs in one basket. Do you want to have a successful business career, or do you want to be a fighter? Because honestly, you can do whatever you want. You just can't do everything you want, so figure out what you want to do. Figure out if this is something that you really want. And if you really want it, then do everything you can do to do it. Otherwise, fuck it, you're a hobbyist.
Yep.
Don't do this 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing for 10 years. And then you're starting off your regular business career and you're a decade behind all your peers. Because I see that happen all the time to guys, and the fact of the matter is, be prepared that you're probably not going to make it. Most people aren't. Most people aren't going to make their fucking retirement doing this sport. You're going to have to eventually open a gym. You're gonna have to use your notoriety and fame in some other avenue, or you're gonna have to fight for so many years and then go become a mailman. Shit, I don't know, but if that's the sacrifice you need to be willing to make. Yeah, I think that those are the main ones, and
yeah,
then
man.
I think lastly, as far as training goes, try to take care of your body. Just because you fought and you made weight doesn't mean you need to blow up 40 pounds. I think I did a lot of damage to my body over the years with the balloon dieting. I would eat whatever I want, and then I would starve myself to get back to weight, and I'd eat whatever I want. And there's as with all things, there's a middle road. The middle road is generally the best.
Yeah. Man, thanks. There's some good things. I got a couple more things I want to ask before I let you go. Sorry to keep you so long, man. You mentioned, of course, about recovery, etc. It's a little bit close to home. I got a couple of friends that are recovering, etc. And they asked me, I mentioned I was talking, they asked me a couple of questions to ask you. One, what do you do in a practical sense to stay sober? Like personally, what do you do?
Well, I work my program.
Yep.
That's number
one. Yeah, 11-step program or something different?
A 12-step program.
12-step, yeah.
Yeah, 12-step program. And when I refer to my program, I mean more than just a 12-step program. I mean my fellowship, the people that I surround myself with. I have a lot of brothers in recovery, or friends that are also in recovery. I have other men that I can call if something is not right, if I'm having an issue. And for a lot of other men, I'm that person. And I think more so being that person keeps me sober. My phone rings a lot with people that are struggling, and I do what I can to give back to the community. I was on a meeting this morning. I led a meeting this morning. So I'm very active. I share my story frequently. And I embrace my life and life on life's terms. And I enjoy actually not being numb and being here and being present and being with my child and being with my family and being a productive part of society, and when I look back at a lot of the things I did, a lot of the money I spent, a lot of the time I wasted, my only solace is that maybe all that, if everything happens for a reason, then that reason for me is that I'm here now and I can help other people with their journey.
Yep. Awesome. And as part of the program, what higher power do you refer to in your own sort of context?
Oh, a higher power of my own choosing would be the answer for that. You know, well, you know, I'm a firm believer. So for me, I'm a kind of I got to see it to believe it type of guy.
Yep.
So what works for me is the fact that I should be dead. What works for me is I look at the facts. I look at all the times I've been to jail. I look at how I should be in jail right fucking now. As we talk, how I should be dead. How many people around me are dead and I'm not. I'm here, and I look at the blessings and I look at the gifts that have been given to me, you know, and how my life has changed. And for me to see all those things, I go, well, fuck, I don't know what it is, but there's something out there that's got my back. You want to call it God, you want to call it a higher power, you want to call it the all, the universe, the one, fucking Buddha. I don't give a fuck what you call it, you know, but it's something. There's, you know, and I'm a firm believer that that something is a lot more powerful than I am. You know, just little old me doesn't do well when I try to run my own life. But when I relinquish the steering wheel to that higher power, you know, it tends to guide me in the right direction, you know. So I just try to go with the flow of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense.
No, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. It's your impression. So that's perfect. Thanks, man. One other thing, you mentioned as you were young, you didn't read at school, etc., and it's something you taught yourself later in life, and you struggled a little bit, or it probably impeded a few things. I've got a son myself that's struggling a little bit with reading, etc. And I kind of just thinking personally, like it brought up that in my mind when I was listening to you, and just thinking from your impression, what's the best way to deal with that? Like, the school wanted to get him to repeat, and I looked it up, and they said it's bad for them psychologically to repeat. So I didn't let him repeat. He's on to the next year. And just wondering, what do you reckon as a parent? What would you recommend as far as just I don't know, supporting him, etc. through it?
How old is he?
He's only a little fellow. He's only 6.
He's only 6. Okay.
But he's well behind. He's struggling with something with the psyche of trying to look at letters and that. I think he may be dyslexic. I'm not sure. It's hard to know at that age, eh?
Well, for me, it was when MySpace came out and I was trying to get laid and talk to girls. I didn't want to sound like an idiot,
Yeah.
So
get him onto the girls.
In other words, motivation. Motivation, yeah. I think is a factor, and interest. In my case as a kid, I kind of grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in a house where there wasn't a lot provided for me, and nobody was spending that extra time with me, trying to help me sound words out or repeat words or fucking whatever method you want to use. I think, just dad being there and being supportive and helping him, I think he should be able to overcome it, as long as he has some motivation. There's some reward factor there, some benefit and some, and then obviously, trying to not get him discouraged. I think, psychologically, I think a lot of kids get discouraged and they shut down. I know that's kind of part of my story with reading. I gave up and I didn't try, and because they told me more or less that I would never read and I was dumb, and so I just quit trying. Turns out I fucking read fine now. They were wrong. Did it take more effort for me to learn how to read than most people? Absolutely. May that, and that's going to be the case for a lot of children out there, but the majority of them, I think, if they have, good parenting and everything else, they'll be okay.
Yeah. Good. And one last thing, Tucker, you're one of the kind of semi-old school sort of guys. Wondering what you think about the upcoming Diaz-Lawler fight. Kind of flashback to their old fight with Diaz hitting him with a big right hook on the counter and taking him out. What do you think will happen this time?
Fuck, what is that, 20 years ago?
It's a fucking long time ago. I'm not sure.
A long time ago, right? Jeez,
yeah.
Long time ago. I don't know, man. I mean, both those dudes are studs. Two of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
You know, Nick is incredible, and Robbie, you know, just the fact that he was in the UFC at such a young age and then got out, was in Strikeforce, Elite XC, kind of came full circle back to world champion. You know, albeit neither one of them have fought for got to be at least a year for Robbie and longer than that for Nick. But I know that they're both going to come in great shape. I think it's going to be a really good fight, man. I really do.
Yeah.
You want a prediction? Predictions. Robbie beats the shit out of. Is it a 5-round fight?
I think it's gonna be 5 round. Yeah.
Okay, Robbie beats the shit out of Nick for 4.5 rounds. Nick's bleeding everywhere, and then gets a rear naked choke.
Fuck. Actually, I just checked. It was 2004, so it was a while back, man.
Yeah,
definitely a long time back. 17 years, is that right? About 17 years. That's a bit of time, man. Bit of water under the bridge there. And I get the feeling that Nick might not have really progressed much in his skill set, but I think maybe in jiu-jitsu, but I think Robbie has a lot, right?
Nick is tough, dude. Nick
is true.
Tough.
True. All right, man. So that's the end. Thank you very much for giving me your time, man. It's great to see, like, after having followed you back a long time ago, an Ultimate Fighter to the modern day, and now you seem like you've really grown as a person, and now to see you as a mentor and teacher to people, and you know, I can hear in the way that you talk that you got a lot to pass on to people. So it's great, man. And thank you for giving me your time when you don't know me. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a great interview. So good work. Good job.
Great. All right.